Hello. I'm very happy to be here with you today. And the thing I'd like to say today is really that I'm really convinced that education, higher education, is a catalyst, a powerful catalyst for change. And I'll try to give an example here. Right. Actually, I stand here to present you today quite an innovative program that I've went through. That aims first at elevating the lives of refugees and IDPs through higher education, and also to change a little bit maybe the perception around humanitarian assistance and look at it as a professional sector. Is usually the last jobs available in a country when it hits by crisis, right? I'm Dorothée Lintner. I'm the general manager of Bioforce, which is a professional school dedicated to humanitarian. We train humanitarian. And I will also be today the voice of Nadine. And have a look. This is Nadine. She couldn't be here today, but Nadine is a refugee from living today in Burkina Faso. She usually comes from Burundi. And she was graduated in our school 6 months ago. And she will become a professional humanitarian in finance and HR. So, from beneficiary, Nadine turns into a trusted professional aid worker. And that's all the project about. Let me tell you the story. In 2022, Bioforce joined forces with the UNHCR, with the Department of International Cooperation of Monaco, to pioneer a program called RECAPREF, a French program in French called Reinforcing Capacities for Refugees. Right? And the idea was to experiment something around one hypothesis, which is, what if we, Bioforce, give the skills, the knowledge, the practices of humanitarian work to refugees, IDPs, would they shift their own place in the aid sector from beneficiary to aid professionals? And also, would that change anything in the way humanitarian assistance is done? Would that impact the quality of humanitarian aid? And at last, how does such a project contribute in the fact of this global effort of localizing aid? So, when you say this, the answer that comes to your mind is, of course it will help. Why wouldn't it? The problem is, actually, there are some challenges to overcome so that it happens. And maybe the first one is about motivation. When you think about it, it's quite uncommon to think that someone who has fled refugee camps, fled crisis, fled conflict, would then be trained and certified to eventually go back to it, because that's what it is about, right? So if you have a look at here, you're going to tell me, what is this? Is it a new refugee camp popping in somewhere? Actually not. This is one of our practical full-scale exercise we have in Bioforce, where we train humanitarian, right? And they have to really practice the way you have to help and also support and manage camps and logistics, mostly one of the core skills that we train. And has Nadine, you've seen, been through this? Yes, she did. She did. Because all the students at Bioforce, they go through that kind of exercises. Because then they're really prepared and ready to be operational on the fields, right? And Nadine, even as an HR and finance manager in the future, will be a good support function because she knows how the operation go on the field. And why did she do this? So I asked her, what was her motivation to enroll in the program that was launched? Well, actually, the answer was quite easy. She told me, I like to serve. I like to help. And actually, I wanted to become a humanitarian before I became myself a refugee. So when the opportunity popped up, of course, there was no doubt. And actually, Nadine is one example, but we have about 30 others actually taking the program currently. And the answer is always the same. Either they wanted to be part of the sector already, or as refugees, they have seen things. They have seen people suffering so much that in the end, they wanted to also contribute, and try to help. Right? So what are they looking for is for a job, a decent job, definitely, but also a useful job, a job that makes an impact. Right? And today, these people, what they say is that they really want to help the development of the host countries they live into. They want to be employable, and they want to be engaged. So that's one first condition, having the motivation of people, right? So that they learn and learn hard to get the degree. But then there is a second condition, which is, of course, well, to overcome all the administrative and legal barriers that you always have, right? And that's why the support of the UNHCR was absolutely key, and is key, and also of all the NGOs, the international ones, the local ones, the national ones, really try to support that kind of initiative, because they know that including refugees among their staff makes a difference. They know that it will change the perception, because these people have lived and experienced things, so that they will change the way also humanitarian assistance is done. Though there are lots of work to do, we're still in, but these are the two conditions that we really have to take into account to run the project. And as a conclusion, what can we, lessons can we take out of this? Well, this part of this activity actually is just one part of the entire program. We also do local trainings, really in Niger, especially to foster collaboration among the different stakeholders, really next to the crisis, and try to help and support by giving skills and empower the people. But here, in that domain specifically, what did that I would say, told us, for us as a school, right, as a training center? Well, we had to adapt as well, and actually really believe in the way we have to be inclusive in the way we deliver our courses, and we welcome the people, and be very careful. So for this, we had to take into account the students' feedback, and also all the stakeholders' feedback, to make sure that we could adapt and include the people, all the refugees in our programs. And so in the end, what I hope, and that will be my conclusion, is that simply that kind of program put little seeds, plants little seeds, and this idea that, yes, higher education definitely can help, but also bringing more refugees in the humanitarian sector as professionals is also a good way to change the sector and make it even more inclusive, make it even more careful, and bringing adapted solution for people in need. So yes, higher education definitely is a good lever and a catalyst for change. Thank you.